Mm. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day today on this Saturday. I just feel like today is a good day for learning. It's always good. On this channel, we love to get into history and things of that nature. So I wanted to show you guys this channel that I've been watching a lot, in the past. And I just saw that he's added some animated versions of some of the stuff he's made. So kind of wanted to show that to you guys. Kind of wanted to just, look through a lot of other videos that he has on his channel too, and just spend a little bit of the day learning a little bit about mythology. So I'm not gonna hold you guys into it. Let's see what he's got going on with these first two videos. First one is when Zeus killed his father, which we all know is Kratos.
The mighty Greek god Zeus was once just a baby that was destined to be eaten by its father, the mighty titan Kronos. You see, before he had Zeus, Kronos was told a prophecy that one of the 6 children he has with his sister Rhea will usurp him. But because incest is life, he still had 6 children with his sister and resolved to eating 5.
Hey yo, but yeah, knowing Greek mythology, yeah, that's just how they.
5 of them. Why only 5? Because Mother of the Year Rhea stepped up to save her 6th child, Zeus. She hid Zeus in a cave, away from his father's gaze, and Zeus was raised by nymphs, a goat, and the female titan, Metis. Years later, Zeus stepped out of the cave, a made man who had no reason to fear his father any longer, because he figured if his dad is so strong because he did his sister, then their inbred DNA, man, this gotta make Zeus double strong. So with the power of incest on his side, Zeus went to confront his father.
Dang, Zeus swole. I'm trying to get like that. Zeus is kind of yoked.
Kronos and free his siblings, but the goddess Metis, in her infinite wisdom, intervened and told Zeus that even with the power of incest, he is no match for Kronos in a direct confrontation. So instead, they came up with a plan: poisoned wine that will make the mighty titan Kronos throw up all of his immortal children that are still alive and trapped in his belly. And to that, Zeus said, "I bet." So he pretended to be a humble wine salesman who asked for an audience with the mighty supreme titan Kronos so that the great Kronos may sample his products. Kronos received Zeus, and since he believed he ate...
I knew the whole story of Kronos, obviously like swallowing all the kids and, like going back and like getting them out after she hid Zeus or whatever, but I did not know that he like, poised as like a wine cellar or something and sold them poison. I didn't know that was how it went down.
His son Zeus long ago, he had absolutely no reason to be suspicious of this wine merchant. Kronos drank the wine, but soon realized that something was wrong with it. He was feeling that throwing up urge coming on and excused himself to go get some privacy, which he could thanks to my sponsor Aura. Because with Aura, no one can infringe on your digital privacy anymore, which means no one can make these weird purchases, and even those spam calls and spam emails, no more. The reason all of this stops thousands with my link. So basically, with the doctor, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So click the link in the description and enjoy your digital peace thanks to Aura. But the truth is that after drinking the poisoned wine, Kronos didn't even make it to the bathroom for some privacy. Nah, he collapsed and spat out all of his children he had eaten right there in the throne room. Hera, Demeter, Hestia, Poseidon, and Hades. Each god and goddess had grown up to be powerful.
So is that how you say it? It's not actually Hades, it's actually Hades. Learn new things every day.
In Kronos' belly, surviving off of barbecuing his digested food or something. I don't know, but I do know that they had nothing but time.
It makes sense though, because we all know of Hercules, but really his name is Heracles. You guys didn't know that, so
on their side when they were in their time to build up their hatred against their father Kronos. So once they got out, they only had one thing on their mind: kill Kronos. But this was an away game. They were on the Titan's domain, where Kronos had many Titans by his side to protect him, including the powerful warrior Titan Atlas, the newly released weekend god.
Atlas looks like Braum from League of Legends. Look him up if you don't know who I'm talking about. But that guy definitely looked just like Braum.
gods had to come up with a plan first. So they fled. They fled to Mount Olympus, where they followed the leadership of Zeus. And Zeus, he came up with a plan. Let's go back and start an all-out war with Dad and the Titans. Wait, that's your whole plan? We just literally just could have just done that. Yep, that's the plan. Unsurprisingly, with the weakest plan of attack ever, the attack didn't go so well. The gods got stuck in a war against the Titans that lasted for 10 years. Since both sides were immortal, it was the ultimate war of attrition to see who could capture who first, like Pokemon. But the Titans were led by the mighty Atlas, who would not let any Titan fall into the hands of the gods, and so over time, the power of the Titans proved to be too much for the youth and inexperience of the gods. Simply put, the gods were losing the war until Zeus was like, we need a plan. Really, bro? Seriously? And so Zeus came up with an actual plan to free the Hecatoncheires and the Cyclopes from Tartarus. And for that, you might need some backstory. The giant 100-armed and 50-headed Hecatoncheires and the giant one-eyed Cyclops were brothers and sisters.
Really, it's crazy what we can do like I now. It's definitely cool for sure.
Of the Titans. They were born to the same parents, the siblings Uranus and Gaia, but in their case, incest hit them a bit harder, hence the many heads and the one eye. Uranus was afraid of them and imprisoned his children in the depths of the underworld, Tartarus. And once he took the throne, Kronos and the Titans, they just kept him there. So that's where Zeus was headed, into Tartarus, to free the 3 Hecatoncheires and the 3 Cyclopes from their shackles. And once they were free, the siblings of Kronos only had one thing on their mind: to take the life of the man that let them suffer here, to kill Uranus. But then Zeus told them, actually, your brother Kronos chopped your dad Uranus's balls off and took over, but he kept you imprisoned because he said you're super ugly, all of you. So now, of course, the Hecatoncheires and Cyclops only had one thing on their mind: kill Kronos. Luckily, the 3 Cyclopes were also masterful blacksmiths, so they outfitted each god with a powerful weapon. Zeus was granted his lightning bolt to call down mighty lightning strikes. Poseidon was given a trident that conjures up tidal waves and earthquakes, and Hades was given a helmet of invisibility to attack enemies out of nowhere and instill fear and panic. And Hera, Demeter, and Hestia, the sister.
You know, everybody knows the trident from for Poseidon and you know, obviously the lightning bolt for Zeus, but no one ever talks about the helmet of invisibility, which is a pretty cool one, you know? Is it just because no one likes Hades? Is that why we act like he didn't get a cool item too? You know?
They were given nothing because apparently the Cyclopes were super sexist. The might of the 3 Hecatoncheires and the 3 Cyclopes were the Titans' equal in strength, combined with the new mighty weapons of the gods. It completely changed the war. The 12 Titans had no answers. They were overwhelmed and ultimately lost the war. Zeus then imprisoned the Titans where they had once kept their siblings, in the depths of Tartarus, where they rot to this day, while Zeus took the throne, and just like his inbred father before him and his grandfather before him, Zeus married his sister Hera and had a bunch of inbred children with her, because what could possibly go wrong? But more on that in the coming episodes of Keeping Up with the Greek Gods.
That was a good first one. Ooh. And the next one, the god who ate his, sounds like obviously Kronos. See what they got here.
What is up, everybody? We are here
Get
at
the order right. Uh-oh. Five days ago. 2 weeks. We'll start with this.
Once there was only fire and ice, until fire melted the ice and a drop of water into the nothingness between them gave birth to 2 beings, the mighty giant Ymir and the equally as mighty cow Audumla, each so powerful and so full of life that Ymir's sweat alone gave birth to an entire race of male and female giants that would become known as the Jötnar, while the cow Audumla licked an ice rock into the shape of the first god, Buri. And what do you do when you're a lone male god surrounded with all this Jötnar thickness? Exactly. You bust open a can of nuts.
Yeah, boy.
So Buri
yeah.
got it on with a giantess, and out of their union, Bor was born. Bor then inherited his dad's fetish for thick Jötnar chicas, so he himself also had 3 children with the Jötnar Bestia. Those children were Vili, Ve, and Odin. The 3
Odin.
brothers were 50% god, 50% Jötnar, but 100% bored in this nothingness they lived in. So Odin came up with an idea. Hey, bros, how about we slaughter our great-grandfather Ymir, and then we drown the entire family in his blood, and then we mutilate his body to build the 9 realms out of his bones. And his brother said, I love it. That's a great idea. Let's do it. And so the 3 brothers then killed the giant Ymir and slit his body wide open so that his endless blood spilled out to drown all life that existed until only the 3 prepared brothers were left alive, overlooking the sea of blood from Ymir's corpse. With the first matricide, patricide, grandfather side, every side behind them, the brothers then got their Bob the Builder on. They took apart Ymir's corpse, and from his flesh they made the earth. From his blood they made the oceans, the rivers.
Okay, so that's how the earth was created. Of course, Norse mythology. That's crazy.
The lakes, his bones became mountains, his teeth were rocks and pebbles, his skull the sky, and his brain the clouds. Then they created 9 realms in this newly formed cosmos. Asgard became the realm of the gods, which is what humble Odin and his brothers decided to call themselves. It would be the realm that rules over all others, and of course Don Dada Odin decided that he would sit in the throne. Then there was Vanaheim, the home of all the gods who didn't agree with Don Dada Odin and his penchant for splendor.
Like, I'm used to hearing about these, what is it, 6 or 7 different realms from like God of War, but I never actually knew where they, really came from.
And authority. These gods called themselves the Vanir, and they were more about living as one with nature, good energy and vibes, the type. Out of Ymir's rotten corpse, maggots emerged that took the shape of elves, dark elves, and light elves. The light elves took to Alfheim as their home, while the dark elves never emerged from the underground and lived in the underground realm Svartalfheim, where they shed their elvish traits and became known as the dwarfs. Then there were the 2 OG realms of ice and fire from the beginning, known as Muspelheim and Niflheim. That just shows you where my heart truly is at. Niflheim, man, that's my next vacation. And beneath all these realms was Helheim, the underworld, home of the dead. Then, of course, there's the one realm you are very familiar with, Midgard, our world, surrounded by the eyelashes of Ymir that form a wall to protect our realm from the others, a protection granted by Odin, who ruled over all, but seems to have taken a particular interest in Midgard, which he decided to populate with humans, beings he and his brothers carved out of a magical wood, with the first ones being Ask and Embla, the 2 horniest, the most fertile people to ever live, because they didn't need any reason to get it on to populate Midgard. Everything set them off, and thus Odin had built the cosmos. But there was one oversight he hadn't accounted for. 2 of the giant Jötnar, the first beings born from Ymir, 2 of them survived Odin's genocide. Bergelmir and his wife. They had hid in a wooden crate and sailed the oceans until they arrived in an unpopulated realm they made their own, Jötunheim. Now home of the giants, the Jötnar, who would forever oppose Odin and swore to make him pay for his sins. But the wrath of the Jötnar, Odin's rule, the tales of humanity, and everything else going on in the 9 realms. These are stories for other episodes of Keeping Up with the Norse Gods.
I like this. Nice. It's a nice condensed way for you to learn a little about the dark truth about Odin.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a
Check it out. Check it out.
Odin became the king of the gods after he and his brothers murdered their grandfather, who had been better known in these Norse streets as the first being Ymir. From Ymir's spilled blood the oceans formed, and from Ymir's body, flesh and bones, Odin and his brothers built the 9 realms, with one of those realms being Asgard, the realm of the Aesir gods, from which Odin ruled over all other realms, known as the All-Father to most, but his wife Frigg only knew him as Daddy. If you know what I mean. Ironically, Odin had most of his children without his wife, Frigg. Him and Frigg had Baldur and Hödr, but Odin had Thor with the giantess Jörd, and Heimdall with 9 sisters that he somehow impregnated all at the same time. Outside of cheating, Odin's next best character trait was being a control freak, which is tough when you rule over 9 entire realms. So to help with that, Odin had 2 ravens that were his eyes, ears, and wings wherever Odin couldn't be. And you know what that means, right? Peep show all day, baby. Yes. But still, it wasn't enough.
Those are literally the original facts.
Odin. After all, his rise to power naturally came with enemies. There were the Vanir gods who didn't always see eye to eye with the Aesir gods, and worse than that, there were the Jötnar, the inhabitants of Jötunheim, and direct offsprings of the giant Ymir, you know, the great-grandfather Odin killed. The Jötnar represented the chaos to balance out Odin's order, and they were determined to destroy anything that Odin cared about. So to stay one step ahead of his distant cousins, Odin decided he needed to gain as much wisdom as he possibly could, because he knew
knowledge is power.
So Odin put on his best Gandalf the Grey cosplay and wandered through all the known realms, mixing and mingling with anyone, most of all humanity in Midgard. And humans taught Odin about a game called Raid Shadow Legends, and Odin immediately abandoned his quest for wisdom because he wanted to play Raid for 7 days to unlock Michelangelo. Yeah. You heard me right. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have made it to Raid. Hey, here come the Ninja Turtles. Raid Shine? Bro, these turtles look epic with powers of down. Tree Hugger, Alice the Wanderer would get it in the first place. They carved the first man Ask and the first woman Embla out of the wood of the famous Viagra tree, which is why Ask and Embla were so horny that the two of them managed to populate the entire world with humans. And yes, that is also where the pill Viagra got its name from. And yeah, that's a load of BS. I just want to remind you to not believe anything you hear and see on the internet these days. After living with humanity for so long and further traveling throughout the cosmos, Odin had learned much, so much, that he was even more aware of all that he didn't know. So next, Odin sought out the one being that was said to be the wisest of all, Mimir. Mimir lived in the roots of Yggdrasil, the tree of life that holds all.
And God of War, Mimir is like stuck in a tree, facing a tree that be talking to you. Maybe we'll learn how he got in that tree.
9 realms together, so you know my guy was paying a mean rent for his bachelor pad there. Mimir welcomed the All-Father to his humble abode, which greatest treasure was the Mimir's Well, a well of wisdom that contains water, granting anybody that drinks it infinite wisdom. Odin asked Mimir if he could drink from his Mimir's well, and Mimir said, sure. Then Odin mustered up his courage, tied his long hair back, and got on his knees. And Mimir was like, what are you doing? I'm drinking from your Mimir's well. Bro, that's the well over there. What are you? Oh, man, you really gotta change the name. Like, I call my guy Odin's Fountain, you know what I'm saying? So you were hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, you know. With that misunderstanding out of the way, Mimir told Odin that the only sacrifice he needs to make in exchange for a drink from the magical well is to rip out his own eye. Odin had been prepared for worse, so he ripped an eye out without hesitation, gave it to Mimir, and then he could drink out of the well, which was basically a golden shot of intelligence to his brain. The well's water flooded Odin with infinite knowledge, but out of all the things he learned, one stood out. To truly become wise, he needs to read the runes inscribed on Yggdrasil, which will only reveal themselves if Odin stabs himself with a spear and then hangs himself from said tree for 9 days and 9 nights. Man, I don't know about you, but if you replace Odin's search for wisdom with any narcotic, I would say, my man, Odin was spiraling out of control. He was ready to give some brain for a fix, ready to hurt himself. That's like the plot of a Requiem for a Dream. So addict Odin stabbed himself in the shoulder with a spear and then hung himself from Yggdrasil for 9 nights and 9 days. And after that, the magical runes truly did reveal themselves. Odin was high on all the wisdom in the world and went back to Asgard to rest, satisfied, until he woke up from a vision. Odin saw that the world will end in an event that will become known to all as Ragnarok, caused by 3 monsters, a giant wolf, a giant snake, and a woman that is half beautiful and half zombie. After seeing this vision, Odin immediately knew that the only person that could be responsible for something so chaotic can only be his blood brother, Loki. But Loki will get there in the next episode of Keeping Up with the Norse Gods. In the meantime,
Ooh. I like this animated series that he's got going on. Pretty good stuff. Let's see what he's got for us. See what's going on with the little group college. Who do we want to? Titan. Heidi. Dude, let's start with maybe Poseidon. I feel like I don't know.
What do you think of when you hear the name Poseidon? Wrong, it's murder and rape. Hey, at least with his sisters, Poseidon stopped at murder. Yeah, think about that. It means exactly what you think it means. Poseidon put 2 babies in his sister Demeter without her consent, and that's one of the many reasons why this episode is called...
Yeah, fair warning, because you know these stories do get kind of dirty. The biggest scumbag in Greek. It's crazy. We would have thought it was Hades.
There are extra facts about Poseidon that don't fit my flow of storytelling, but for completion's sakes, I want to include them so they're at the end of the video. Watch until then if you want to get all there's to know about Poseidon. Honestly, the only reason Poseidon's all-around scumbag behavior isn't more known is because his wife wasn't as jealous as Zeus's wife Hera and didn't air all of Poseidon's dirty laundry. Because seriously, while Zeus committed more atrocities, he also did a lot of good, including creating humanity. There's kind of still a split decision on whether that's a good thing or not. Poseidon, meanwhile, was really all about being a bigger dick than his trident. And no, that is not excused by his dad eating him after he was born. After Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades defeated the Titans and took over as gods of the world, they played rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets the heaven, the underworld, and the seas. Poseidon got the seas, which was fitting because the sea is just as moody as Poseidon. And those mood swings meant he did a pretty crappy job as a god of the sea, constantly causing floods and earthquakes whenever he was bored or annoyed or literally just killing for fun.
I killed the sun!
Poseidon even killed the people praying to him for safe seafarer, and whenever he got bored of that and left his underwater palace, Poseidon usually did so for some of his non-consensual impregnation quests. So eventually his brother Zeus had enough. Not because of the non-consensual pregnancies thing, that was all good fun for the rape brothers, but if you know anything about Zeus, you know that he really cares about being worshipped. So prayers were holy to the guy. Killing worshippers was where Zeus drew the line. Very weirdly, that's where he drew the line. And Zeus stepped in. And you know it's bad when your even more genocidal, rapey, maniac brother has to get you to calm down. And since Xanax wasn't a thing yet, Zeus decided that Poseidon needs.
See, like, who really? I guess you could just say it's never as complex as like good and bad, but you really do have to ask yourself, like, who really were the good guys in like Greek mythology? Like, Zeus definitely, like, normally people think of him as kind of the hero, but like, he was kind of terrible. I guess, you know, you could have some heroes, I guess, like Hercules or Heracles and those like that. But I would say even Heracles, I'm pretty sure probably did some diabolical things. Excuse me. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I just feel like with Greek mythology, there's definitely a lot of layers to it for sure, which is good because that's how people are. People aren't fully 100% good or 100% bad. They're, you know, everybody makes mistakes, but what makes the difference is obviously how you go through each day.
a wife, because he knew from experience how much more satisfying it is to make your own wife miserable. And since Zeus is still Zeus and not to be confused with some kind of nice guy, he simply forced someone to marry his daughter to Poseidon. That someone was Nereus, the previous ruler of the sea before Zeus overthrew everybody and gave the seas to Poseidon. Nereus had a bunch of beautiful daughters born of the sea, fitting as a wife for the sea god. So of course Poseidon picked the one that didn't want him. You know, because my guy likes a challenge. Poseidon's such a prick. The name was Amphitrite, and after she refused him, Poseidon used his pet dolphin to convince her that he's a good guy and get her to like him. And because girls like guys with cute pets,
Hey, dolphins were one of the first wingmen. Wing dolphins. We got wing dolphins before we got GTA 6.
it worked. And that's why, to this day, guys get dogs to impress girls.
Aw,
The worst.
got a cutie with him.
Before the marriage, Poseidon was just a massive dick. But after he married Amphitrite, he was a massive dick that cheated on his wife. And even Poseidon's own sister wasn't safe from him. Poseidon desired Demeter, his sister, the goddess of agriculture and harvest, but she refused to sleep with him, which Poseidon in turn refused to accept since Demeter did sleep with her other brother Zeus and had Persephone with her brother Zeus. Yeah, don't even let that trip you up, because this whole family tree started with a mother who slept with her sister.
So he's nasty. So he pulled the whole, oh, how you not gonna get with me when you got with my mans? That's L man's behavior. Yeah, he's right. He's really making a good argument for why Poseidon is an L man's. For sure.
And that son then had Zeus, Demeter, and Poseidon and co with his own sister. So this is really just the original team inbred right here. So Poseidon tried to woo Demeter, who said she would appreciate it if he creates a beautiful new creature for her. And Poseidon struggled through the process of creating a beautiful new four-legged creature. His first attempts were a bit too fat and became known as the hippos. His next attempts were a bit too tall and had odd proportions and became known as the giraffes. And after some more four-legged animals that he wasn't happy with, Poseidon finally came up with the horse, a powerful animal of tremendous elegance and power, worthy of Demeter's admiration, except she still didn't want to sleep with him.
He was doing everything. Look,
So now Poseidon
created horses.
decided that her nose means yes, and her running away means catch me if you can. And even when
This will
Demeter
do anything.
shapeshifted into the newly created horse to run away faster, Poseidon simply shapeshifted into a stallion to catch her faster. And once he caught up to her, he did what he came to do, and then left Demeter behind pregnant. Demeter was disgusted by this, and she could not bear to even look at the children she bore from her brother's assault, and abandoned them. Those children were the black-winged horse Arion and the girl Despina. The horse grew up fine and eventually became Hercules, aka Heracles.
Wait, he didn't say the horse. Horse was it? He came out as the horse?
Steed, but Despina turned into a bitter frost goddess, resenting her mother and her father, and in her hatred, Despina spends a quarter of the year freezing all her father's rivers and all her mother's crops, which is why we now have winter. Thanks, Poseidon. And while we're on the topic of family, Poseidon didn't really have a good relationship with any of his. Recap, Poseidon's dad tried to eat him, his brother Zeus grew tired of him, he raped his sister Demeter, and his other sister Hestia also hated him because he tried to take her virginity before she took a sacred virginity vow, and the other virgin goddess Athena, who was Poseidon's niece, was Poseidon's enemy number one.
Oh yeah. Isn't that how the whole
Athena stole a city
Before
from Poseidon,
started,
a city
or
that
Trojan
was
War?
then named after her instead of him, a city you might today know as Athens. At the time, Athens was known as Kekopia, and Poseidon was lobbying hard for the name to be changed to Poseidon City. Not really, but it's a cool name. It would be a great name for a water theme park, by the way. You're welcome. Poseidon wanted the city named in his honor, and to impress King Kekopos, he struck the ground with his trident to erect a massive fountain in the middle of the city, which was a really cool party trick, but entirely useless because it was salt water, so they couldn't drink it, and because the city was already surrounded by water anyway, so yeah, Thanks, but no thanks, Aquaman. Then Athena swooped in and promised the city olive trees if they chose her. And since olive trees were not native to the region yet and provided food, olive oil, and much more, the city picked Athena, and Poseidon now had a forever grudge against her that escalated in another innocent woman being raped. A woman who swore an oath of virginity as a priestess of Athena and devoted her life to maintaining Athena's temple. The perfect victim for Poseidon, who was just looking for a way to insult Athena. So he had his way with that innocent priestess against her will right inside of Athena's temple. A huge...
Nah, he right though. This man Poseidon definitely is diabolical. I'm surprised like a lot of guys didn't like team up and like tear him up. But also I know their culture was a little questionable.
Huge insult to the virgin goddess, who instead of punishing Poseidon, then punished the priestess for being too beautiful and tempting, and cursed her to become a hideous monster with snakes for hair, a monster now better known as Medusa. Medusa would later give birth to another one of Poseidon's infamous children, another winged horse, this one white and known as Pegasus. But Medusa's story is tragic, complex, and there are many versions and interpretations, so it really needs its own video on another day. So with all this really bad stuff going down, there is a silver lining. Poseidon did father a great hero, Theseus. There's still kind of the fact that Poseidon cheated on his wife Amphitrite, tried to conceive Theseus with another woman, and the fact that Theseus is not just a hero, but also the guy who kidnapped Helen of Troy when she was 13 years young. Yeah, like father, like son. But Theseus' story, though, that's a video for another day. Time for the extra. When I said Zeus created humanity, it should be noted that technically Zeus didn't create humanity himself. He ordered Prometheus to create humanity, which he did by using aspects of all the major gods. He modeled them out of Gaia's earth. He used Zeus' spit to shape them and Apollo's fire to bake them. And then the clay man finally had Athena to blow life into them. Yeah, you heard me. If you're confused about Poseidon being eaten by his dad after birth, watch my Zeus video right here on my channel. It's linked here on the related. You can click it somewhere. And there.
Yeah, I did not know Poseidon was that bad of a guy. So now we've seen Poseidon, we got to see Hades. Be like, really, like, who worse?
I need allies.
I would assume that Hades is like a terrible evil god. I'm just thinking if Poseidon was on this, like, I can't even imagine the dark, terrible things that Hades was. Or Hades, how do you say it? Like, this dog is like like half off of her, but half in it.
God you associate with evil. It's Hades. We all know you're thinking Hades. But why is it Hades? It's probably because in our modern thinking, the ruler of the underworld equals Satan, and Satan equals evil. But Greek mythology's king of the underworld, Hades, is not evil. In fact, Hades is a good guy, way better than his asshole brothers Zeus and Poseidon. And a lot of the blame for that modern lie of Hades being evil goes back to
Disney. Hades should have got a better PR team. He's like Young Thug right now. He's gonna have to definitely pull out the PR team right now. It's that time. You know what I'm saying, like, see, like, you see Hercules, they got him, he got his own cartoon. Y'all saw how they had Hades looking in the cartoon. They had him looking ugly. But it sounds like, based off of what we heard about Poseidon earlier, it sounds like Poseidon really should be the one that we putting on this chopping block. You feel me?
His 1997 Hercules movie, which did this to Hades.
Name is Hades, Lord of the Dead. Hi, how you doing?
But that entire Hercules movie was just all kinds of wrong. Like, let's shit on Disney for a second, shall we? Zeus is not a family man. Man, that dude cheats for sport. And he doesn't just cheat with women who are consensual, by the way. Hera is certainly not Hercules' loving mother because Hercules is one of Zeus' illegitimate children, and Hera hated Hercules and tried to kill him when he was a baby, and when she failed at baby murder, she decided to ruin his life by making him murder his own wife and children, by the way. And Disney even messed up the basics.
That's a big difference from what Disney got going on. That's all I'm saying. I really wish that they would like do like a, you know, Like I like kind of like the Grimm. I really haven't watched it like that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I might need to tune in. But I really do think it's cool when you hear like the real forms of these stories, like because they really are so much darker than you would imagine. They're kind of cleaned up for kids and stuff like that. But a lot of times too, like the lessons that get lost too, trying to clean it up so much and muddy it. So now that I'm older, now that I'm not, what I'm saying, 5 years old, like I want to hear the real stories. Like sometimes you got to get a little dirty to learn something.
It's because the son of Zeus is not called Hercules. It's Heracles. Hercules is a Roman name, by the way. It's funny because I'm trying to be a smartass here, but I'm pronouncing Heracles wrong because I think the Greeks say it like Heracles or something like that. And also, Hades was not a dude with weird blue flames for hair. He was never depicted as that, nor was he ugly. Some texts even say that Hades is the most handsome of the three big Greek brothers. So, not ugly, not evil, just misunderstood. And that's why I call this episode As always, there are extra facts about Hades that don't fit the flow of my storytelling but are added at the end because I want to give you everything there's to know about Hades, so watch until the end to get everything there's to know about Hades.
We're here.
Was Hades feared? Yes, but the fear came with the territory because Hades rules over death, and death is naturally scary. But you should know that in Greek mythology, the afterworld, death is not a bad place. Everybody goes there after life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but still, people aren't exactly fans of.
Kind of crazy though, huh? I mean, if everyone goes to the underworld, the good, the bad, the ugly, why does anything matter? Why try to do good things? Why even care? Like, you're gonna be there anyway, like, obviously. I don't want to say it, but you could just take a quicker path to get there if you're already gonna be there anyway for eternity. But hey, Greek mythology for you.
Death and feared it, of course, and Hades just happened to rule over that which is inevitable. And if you're gonna die anyway, why waste your time praying to or even thinking about Hades? Best to just avoid it altogether, never mention Hades' name, and turn him into a taboo. With his brothers King Sparkles and Aquaman, you could at least feel like, your farm being struck by lightning or your ship being sunk at sea can be avoided with some good old worshipping, but death, not so much. So the fear stemmed from the inevitable, not the evil. And in fact, death in the Greek underworld included paradise, heaven, and hell. And it's also not even Hades who claims your soul when you die. The Greek version of the Grim Reaper is actually Thanatos, who has the awkward job of showing up like, hey, sup bro, hey, you dead. Except Thanatos doesn't look like this and was also described as beautiful and winged. So he would look more similar to his brother Hypnos, who was in charge of sleep. And Thanatos and Hypnos were in fact considered to be almost doing the same task. Death by Thanatos was as painless and natural as sleep, and there was nothing evil or subjective about it,
But random, just passionate, fair to rich and poor alike.
And yes, Thanos is very much named after Thanatos, who inspired the character of Thanos. So Thanatos collected the souls of the dead, and then Hermes would use his speed to actually transport them to the entrance of the underworld, where he hands them off to Charon, who is the ferryman that then ferries the soul across the river Styx into the actual underworld. But this is where it all comes to a bit of a hitch. The stop, you had to pay Charon for that duty, because this guy was all like,
bitch better have my money.
And that is why the ancient Greeks buried the dead with 2 coins to pay Charon. If you don't have that money, your ass is not getting into the underworld, and you have to wait at the shores of the river Styx for 100 years, and then you actually get a free ride into the underworld, because
you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're gonna get a haircut.
Step into Wix Studio, the new web creation platform built for agencies.
And once you get across the river Styx, congrats, yay, you made it into the underworld. And the 3 judges will now go through your browser history and every action you took in life to determine whether you deserve to be happy forever or eternal suffering where you're punished forever. Most of us who lived a normal life without great heroics or terribly evil deeds would go to the Asphodel Meadows. Basically a second life in the underworld, which would be a lot like life on Earth. And after 100 years of that, you drink from the river Lethe, which wipes your memories, and then you are reborn. The special people from Greek mythology go to Elysium. Not simple Jack special, like great deeds, super pious, glorious kind of special. And even within that paradise, Elysium, there was the Isle of the Blessed, basically the gated community for the actual heroes like Achilles, Atalanta, or Odysseus, you know, the special people. And everyone in Elysium, though, gets to party and feast all day. A return to Earth is eventually optional, but it's like, why would you leave eternal paradise? And the scum of the earth was sent to actual hell called Tartarus. Note, you are also considered scum of the earth if you just disrespected the gods or hurt their ego by beating them in a contest because, oh my god, hubris. In Tartarus, you received eternal punishment, specially designed by Hades. That punishment could be fun stuff like burning on a spinning wheel for all eternity, or healthy exercise like pushing a rock up a hill for all eternity, or a nutritious meal plan like starving and dying of thirst for all eternity. And then there's also the fields of mourning for those who punched their own ticket while mourning their lost love, which was probably a super fun place filled with super fun people. And remember how I said the concept of death and sleep were very similar in its respective gods or brothers? That's also reflected in the underworld. The land of the dreams was also down here, though while Hypnos sent people to sleep, it was Morpheus, the god of dreams, who ruled over the land of the dreams. And all of this, the entire underworld, was protected by Cerberus, the 3-headed dog bouncer of the underworld. And Hades was in charge.
Ooh, we're gonna have to Cerberus made me think we're gonna have to get some Harry Potter lore on the channel. I haven't been playing as much as I used to, but I've been playing some Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah, I might have to play it for you guys. I'll start playing some games on here for you.
Of all of that, meticulously so, while Zeus and Poseidon were getting drunk, meddling with mortals, murdering, abusing, kidnapping women, causing more drama than a goddamn telenovela, and being responsible for all the Greek stories and actually kind of keeping this channel alive. Thank you. Hades was a stickler for rules and just did his job 24/7, married to order. And that only made Hades seem even weirder because the loner hanging out with the dead's not exactly a good Tinder profile. And it fit the already biased and fearful opinion people had of him. Like, Zeus and Poseidon would be kind of like the jocks from the football team, basking in glory while they're actually terrible people. And Hades is the good-hearted loner that is misunderstood because he keeps himself, and he's just labeled as evil because he's misunderstood and people don't get it.
Dang. It's always the nice guy that gets the short end of the stick, huh, Hades? Hades got cooked. He got cooked by life. Not even life. He didn't even get cooked by life. He got cooked by eternity.
Look at me.
Imagine your story goes down in history as everybody thinking you're a terrible person, but really you were actually a good guy. And it's not like I said, it's not like at the end of your lifetime it's over. Nah. Your kid's legacy, everybody's legacy. For the rest of the time that people think about Greek mythology for forever and ever, he will always be hated. Most hated. Most hated. Hey. They hate us because they ain't us. That's what I saw them say in what is that movie? The movie where they go over to China to do an interview. It's called The Interview. Wow. They hate us because they ain't us.
That being said, Hades did kind of kidnap his wife Persephone. But that's not as much of a skirt in the closet as you might think. First of all, I repeat that Zeus and Poseidon kidnapped before breakfast, but one man's evil does not justify another man's. So here's the thing though. Zeus was Persephone's father and promised Hades that he could marry Persephone, which was a father's right at the time. Note wrote that it was not a father's right at the time to get his own daughter pregnant, especially against her will, but Zeus managed to get his daughter Persephone pregnant against her will. Anyway, yeah, that's a different story. I'll tell you about that another time. The problem was that Zeus didn't tell Persephone about this, so Hades kidnapped her without her even knowing. And Zeus also didn't tell Persephone's mother, Demeter, about this, so Demeter scoured the earth looking for her daughter, and it all turned into a pretty major drama because Demeter was pretty important. She's the goddess of harvest, and humanity eating was at Demeter's mercy, and she promised Zeus that she'd turn his beloved...
But she left. Couldn't nobody get no food. Hades and Zeus out here going on the worst possible idea of a one man ever in all of history and all of time and the future. And now they got humans out here starving because now mama out there looking for her daughter, can't find her daughter. And she the god of harvest.
World of the living into the underworld, aka I'm gonna let everybody starve in this bitch unless you give me my daughter back. So Zeus went to Hades like, hey, yo, about that niece of yours you kidnapped a while back, Persephone. Yeah, I'm gonna
stay at the door. Well, thank you, girl. Right back. You guys want my little pepperoni?
need her back. Problem was Hades was uncontrollably in love with Persephone and truly treated Persephone like a queen. Like, you don't understand. Men in Greek mythology don't usually see their women as equals, but Hades did. He intended to share all his power and everything with Persephone, and he was loyal. All that was unheard of for a mortal man in general back then, but for a god, Forget about it. Plus, as I said, Hades was often said to be the most handsome of his brothers. So really before long, Persephone was like, this isn't all that bad. I get to be queen of the underworld. They call me Dread Persephone. I got mad respect from the living. I got mad respect from the dead. And I got mad respect from my husband, and the man's pretty damn fine. I mean, I'm happy to see my husband. In fact,
I got a cousin named, well, she's out here winning. Maybe the Persephones are out here winning.
Persephone didn't just like it. Hell, I love you! Before she knew it, Persephone fell in love with Hades. So that meant that when Zeus forced Hades to send Persephone back, Hades came up with a plan to save his future with Persephone. If she ate food from the underworld, no one could take her from him. Because once you leave from the underworld, you can never fully leave. No one can change it. And because Persephone was in her fears, she was in on it and ate 3 pomegranate seeds and was forever bound to the underworld and could only return to the world of the living for 3 months of the year. Her mother, Demeter, was overjoyed whenever her daughter returned to her and the world's harvest was in full swing for 9 months of the year. But those 3 months, when Persephone returned to the underworld, to her husband Hades, Demeter was sad and basically said, man, screw these crops. Everybody can starve for all I care. And that's how we got.
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Winter. Extra notes, fun fact that I absolutely have to give credit to Overly Sarcastic Productions too, who did the research on this common misconception that I'm about to share with you. Persephone is often thought to be the goddess of spring, since when she visits Earth, spring dawns. She is not. That is just Demeter being happy. Persephone is very much only one thing, Queen Dread, the lady of the underworld. And in fact, there are many, many more surviving ancient texts about Persephone in that role than even Hades as the underworld ruler. In fact, Persephone was mentioned as the ruler of the underworld 1,000 years before Hades was first mentioned. So there's legit reason to assume that Persephone was once believed to be the sole ruler of the underworld, and this is why the story I just told you maybe only came later as a means to make all the main rulers male. Because men can't deal with women in power, especially not in ancient times. This is supported by the fact that underworld gods were never really referred to by name, since it is believed to bring death. This was common for Hades, who was never really mentioned by his actual name. And by the way, that's where J.K. Rowling got the whole "he who must not be named" thing for Voldemort from. Well, throughout all ancient texts, Persephone has so many aliases, you'd think her name was Jennifer Garner. Get it? Alias Jennifer Garner. It's a 90s joke. The point is, people avoided saying Persephone's name long before Hades was even a thing. And they'd only have a reason to do that if
Andrea, are there any Greek people you want to learn about? They got Aphrodite in here. Of course you wanted to hear about Aphrodite. You always want to hear about Aphrodite. I didn't even have to say anything to you. I could have just clicked the video. I already knew you was about to say. I think after Aphrodite, I'm trying to do the one about Dionysus. I remember I told you when I was in elementary school, I did it on him. Goddess of fertility and not middle school, elementary school. I did it. The goddess of fertility and wine.
Aphrodite, a symbol of beauty and femininity. That's what everybody knows her as. But there is so much more to Aphrodite that people don't know. And it's all bad stuff. Like, it's terrible. She might have been fine as hell, but Aphrodite was a problem. Honestly, I never understood why Aphrodite has somehow become synonymous as a positive image of femininity and love, because I don't see anything positive about rampant cheating and extremely petty and insecure behavior, to the point of ruining innocent people's lives, killing people, and even starting a war that ended a whole civilization. All of which are things Aphrodite did.
And then there are people who claim that Aphrodite is some sort of protector of women. Bro, Aphrodite cursed a woman to fall in love with her father and seduce him in the darkness, and that father then ended up killing his daughter. Why did Aphrodite do that? Because that woman was so beautiful, it triggered Aphrodite's insecurities. And that's all.
I wasn't listening. Drea, education check. Were you paying attention? What was he talking about? Is that really what he said? Okay.
Takes with her.
For her for Halloween? Like last Halloween? Let's get back
Aphrodite
to
constantly cursed anyone that slighted her in any random way, and you have no idea how disgusting some of these curses Aphrodite dished out were. But you'll see, we'll get there. I'm not holding back. I'm gonna tell you about the sides of Aphrodite that no one wants to talk about. Queen of pettiness, who had her hand in so many Greek tragedies, including the...
Sound like you. Aphrodite right now, she sounds like the mean girl in high school. Sound like that group of, and we all know the group of popular girls that are just mean for no reason. Okay. I'm saying it was. I said the queen of pettiness. I said that can be kind of petty. Y'all better get her before I have to get her. Learn about Drea.
Trojan War and the death of Hercules. So, let's do this. Note that there are some extra facts at the end of the video that don't really fit my flow of storytelling, but for completion's sake I want to include them, so I add them at the end of the video. Watch until then if you want everything there is to know.
At Fiverr, we know that vibe coding can be a lot of fun, until it's not. From fixing bugs and back-end integration to product polish, Fiverr's got the experts to bring your product to life.
What disclaimer? Yes, sir. Continue. This is my show.
Aphrodite.
You forgot whose show this was. Pretty hurt.
Aphrodite's favorite
Beauty
form
is
of
pain.
punishing people was to use her powers to make people fall madly in lust. And with that in mind, and how very fitting that Aphrodite was born from a pair of balls that were chopped off during the lustful act. Yeah, you heard that right. She was born from a pair of detached testicles. The Titan Kronos once ruled over the Greek heavens.
That's nasty.
Before Zeus, but before Kronos, Uranus was the supreme god, and Kronos was his son. And because Greek mythology loves itself a bloody succession story, Kronos chopped his father's balls off while his father was ready to get freaky with his wife, Gaia, Kronos' mother. Yep, that means Kronos was...
I mean, it's justified. I ain't mad at it.
Hiding in the shadows, watched his mom and dad go through all that foreplay, and then jumped out to chop some suey before insertion.
Oh man, I love Greek mythology. Kronos then took over as the new leader and tossed his father's bloody balls into the ocean. And since Uranus was a big guy, those were some big balls. Big balls, big splash. And from that splash, from those waves, Aphrodite emerged as beauty itself. So beautiful that the...
Y'all see why I like watching this guy for like mythology? Because he be putting a spin on it. Like, why he have to do all that? There was no reason. Like, think about it. He had to like, he scripted this out. He wrote it down before he said it. Like, he edited it. Like, he put the text. He had to type in big balls on the text. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's always so funny. You got to always think when you see videos, you got to think there's always somebody on the other side that's really editing this. Like, like when you see ridiculous stuff, just remember there is somebody on their computer creating this content.
place she emerged at, Cyprus, became the most beautiful place on earth because her beauty was radiating, nuclear. You get me? But before Aphrodite stepped onto Cyprus, she was actually heading for another island, Rhodes. Unfortunately, she was not welcomed there because Poseidon's 6 sons arrogantly turned her away at the shores, which rude, yes, but Aphrodite's response was to use her powers of lust and desire to drive these 6 men so mad that they then sexually assaulted their own mother and saw the sexual aspect of that assault through to the end. They raped her.
Well, huh? Bro, what is going on with Greek mythology, bro? I'm sorry, but okay. I'm gonna have to speak on this because we done gone through what 3-4 Greek myth stories, and there seems to be a theme here. My question is this: normally, when people write things, obviously you don't write things that you would necessarily do, but it does show the inclination sometimes into the culture or something like that. If all of these stories have this type of thing in it, I'm wondering really what were the Greeks on some nastiness? Hey y'all, history video on Greek culture coming out soon. We gonna be taking a look stream. We gonna stream and we just gonna it's Greek day. I might pull up in a bed sheet. You know what I'm saying? What are they called, by the way? Drea, do you know what those are called? The togas, right? Like the togas, like college, you have the toga parties. You go toga, and everybody's wearing like togas. You know. All right, are togas Greek? We'll figure it out. I'm telling y'all. By the time I'm done with this channel, it's gonna be an opportunity for everybody to learn about American culture, Latin culture, Hispanic culture, African culture, European culture. Asian, Indian, which is still Asian culture throughout all time periods by the time I'm done with y'all. It's gonna take some years, but we about to get this content in every day. Today, we on Greek mythology, Norse mythology, which really, we probably really gonna get into Norse mythology maybe later this week. I'm about to be on
After
live
they
for
were
a
done,
long
the
time.
mother took her own life. And when Poseidon
Like I'm about
heard
to
of
start
that
being
story,
on live.
he buried his 6 sons
Very
alive.
long time.
Yeah. Aphrodite had no chill. So let's look
Yes,
at
sir. Shout out my boy Hidalgo. Shout out to the Hidalgo family.
Hippolytus was a young man who worshipped the virgin goddess Artemis.
Hey, John,
and
if you're real, you'll
decided
throw
to
a
stay
like.
a virgin for life, which pissed Aphrodite
If
off
you're real,
because
you'll
to her,
pull
all
up.
virgins are losers that deserve to suffer. So her punishment for him was to have his stepmother, Phaedra...
So we learning about Aphrodite right now. So lock in, bro. Lock in. Time to get that knowledge up. Time to step our game up.
lust after him.
Love y'all, but I'm still not buying YouTube Premium.
Wait, is that a punishment? That's the plot of all the Brazos movies I like so much. I love those movies. Stepmom Phaedra, in fact, was lusting after her boy so hard that she felt physically ill and said she'll kill herself unless her stepson does what Brazos says one is supposed to do with stepmoms. But Hippolytus was
I appreciate you
disgusted
for
at
the like,
idea,
bro.
so Phaedra did kill herself and left a note for her husband saying that Hippolytus raped her. Yeah, I know. plot twist, but the real plot twist is that Hippolytus' father is the hero Theseus, son of Poseidon. So Theseus then cursed Hippolytus in Poseidon's name, and the innocent Hippolytus died. Well done, Aphrodite. One family ruined, but
I'm telling you, Aphrodite really a demon. She's really that pretty petty girl that ruins your life. It ruins everybody's life. If you don't think she look cute, she about to end your whole career. She about to end your whole career. You definitely gonna get hit with some false allegations, and you're done. You cease to exist.
Just getting started. Hippomenes once failed to pay his due for Aphrodite's blessing, so she drove him mad with lust to have sex with his wife in the sacred temple of Rhea, which caused Rhea to turn him and his wife into lions. King Tyndareus didn't worship Aphrodite enough, so Aphrodite cursed his 3 daughters to forever betray their husbands. There's more, but you get the gist.
Oh, dang. So she cursed the girls to forever betray their husbands. So does that mean, like, since they were young girls at the time, does that mean, like, the husband was already, it was predetermined that he was going to get cheated on before he married her? Greek mythology is funny. It was predetermined that the husbands was about to hold this L before they even met these girls. Aphrodite is not cool. Not cool.
If you're now saying, well, these are all men suffering, Aphrodite just didn't care about men, but she protected the girls. Well, then I have you right where I want.
Was she a girl's girl? Absolutely not.
Because there's a sequel album. The woman Polyphonte wanted to remain a virgin for life, which, as we already learned, Aphrodite is not a big fan of virgins, so Aphrodite cursed her to have sex with a bear. The women on the island of Lemnos also scorned Aphrodite.
Bro, what is up with these stories, yo? It'd be like this. It'd be like, I'd be trying to keep it running, but it'd be like, I have so many questions. For one, can a human survive that? My question would probably be no. She's not a god. You're definitely not surviving that. But yeah, Dre, I hope this makes you feel different about Aphrodite.
And we're
I think you worship her. I think most people think that she's just a goddess of like beauty and oh yeah, we can see, yeah. She's a high school mean girl. Hey, if you a high school mean girl, you need to sit down somewhere. I'm telling you right now. Just wait till you graduate. Life get hard.
Punished by Aphrodite cursing them with horrible, unwashable stench. And the women on the island of Cyprus committed the crime of, yeah, you guessed it, pissing off Aphrodite. So Aphrodite cursed them with a passion to prostitute their own bodies. They became the first prostitutes. And then there's Cyprus.
So Aphrodite is responsible for the first prostitutes in Greek mythology. Interesting.
A woman that was so beautiful that through no fault of her own, others declared her more beautiful than Aphrodite. So Aphrodite carefully constructed Psyche's torment and utter downfall. Again, you get the point. You trigger one of Aphrodite's insecurities, you suffer. Of course, there was more to Aphrodite than just punishing people. She also had a relationship with Ares that is nowadays somehow romanticized as this hot, passionate relationship, but really was incredibly toxic, and both cheated on each other all the time. It's horrible.
Hey, yo.
So let's explore.
For 10 years I worked at a sign shop. It was really fun, creative.
Chapter 2.
So there's one thing I have to clarify here. Despite her evils, Aphrodite's behavior was very much in line with the other gods. Zeus and Poseidon committed so many atrocities that they probably saw Aphrodite.
I'm sorry, but Ares and Aphrodite gotta be like, she's the mean girl in high school, but like not one of the cool like girls in high school, but like just the one that like she attractive, but like she mean. And then, you know, Ares, the goddess of war, I mean, the god of war, you know, he's just straight violence. He's probably like, you know what I'm saying? He's got to be like the jock that's like, he's kind of like no one really likes him like that. Like he acts crazy. Like he does the most, but we all just accept him because we need those touchdowns. We need those touchdowns every Friday night lights. So everybody's just kind of like, yeah, you're cool, bro. Go score a touchdown. It sounds like a, you know, match made in heaven. That's the perfect high school, you know, you know?
Debut albums as a really
it's like
solid
the Greek
start.
mythology
So on
version.
Mount Olympus, where insecurities ran unchecked and escalated daily, Aphrodite was still on the ethically and morally good side. And that, coupled with her beauty, made her very desired. Too desired. Aphrodite was the most beautiful thing to ever exist, and Zeus was afraid of the effect her beauty would have on everyone. So, for once, Zeus did not take part in the Festival of Thirst and instead forced Aphrodite into a marriage against her will, because that usually solves most problems, right? The husband, not of her choice, was Hephaestus, the ugliest of all the gods. And this did not turn into some kind of Beauty and the Beast story.
So Aphrodite
was
ended
stuck
up with
in a
him?
marriage that forever remained loveless. That's important for context. The one Aphrodite did love and desire was Ares, war itself, aka the most toxic of all the gods. Fitting for Aphrodite, so it didn't take long for King and Queen Toxic to get it on, and their love was defined by pure passion, since both are representations of that. Aphrodite for the passion of love and lust, and Ares for violence and war. In fact, Aphrodite and Ares are the reason that love and war are two words so often uttered together. The merging of their passions is why humanity so often disguises conquests or violence as acts in the name of love. Problem was, of course, Aphrodite was still married to Hephaestus, and at first the ugly god of blacksmiths didn't know about Ares and Aphrodite because they got to bumping and grinding whenever the sun was down. That's not a metaphor to say that they did it in dark, that's actually literal and very relevant because Helios is the sun god, and when the sun is up, he sees everything. And Helios is a serious snitch. So Team Toxic waited until Helios was asleep before they got nasty. And when they did get nasty, Ares forced the soldier Electryon to stand guard at the door and warn them.
Nah, that's actually crazy. That's why I love stuff like this, because it just really gets you thinking. Like when they say, like, you know what I'm saying, you gotta do your dirty deeds like in the dark, like, yeah, oh yeah, it's because it's dark outside. They say nah. Because that's when Helios ain't looking. That's when he got his back turned.
Before the sun does come up. You with me? Good. Remember how I said every god desires Aphrodite? I meant that. Hypnos, the god of sleep, was super jealous of Ares tapping that. So one day he made Electryon fall asleep while on guard duty, and the sun came up while Aphrodite and Ares were still intertwined. So Helios saw what they were up to and immediately snitched to Hephaestus. As punishment, Ares turned Electryon into a rooster, which is why roosters are now forever destined to announce the rising of the sun. Hephaestus, meanwhile, was pissed, but Aphrodite and Ares didn't stop their affair. Nothing could stop them. So, since Hephaestus is the god of blacksmiths, he had an idea. He crafted a golden, irremovable net that he then threw on Ares and Aphrodite during the act to trap them. Genius. Now he could invite everybody over and show them what Ares and Aphrodite have been up to. And then he realized that he just trapped the chiseled god of muscles and war with the goddess of unparalleled beauty and lust under a net, in a bed, naked. All the gods and goddesses were like, bro, I switched places in a heartbeat. So Hephaestus kind of realized that all of this is hopeless. He removed the net and just learned to live with their affair. Again, there was no stopping Ares and Aphrodite. Love and
bro really like Sneeko, like bro really the reason why there is a single chair in a hotel room. If you know what I mean. Sorry.
or Venus and Mars, and they went on to have children that were symbolic of the pure passion
if you get the joke,
that defined them. Phobos, the god of fear. Deimos,
do you get
the
the
god
joke?
of terror. Harmonia, the goddess of harmony. Eros, the god of love. And Anteros, the god of heartbreak. But if you think that this somehow has a happy ending, you must be new to passionately toxic relationships. Ares and Aphrodite committed so many disgusting acts towards one another in their relationship that they make Johnny Depp and Amber Heard look cute. I feel like it's time for another greatest hits.
So I gotta ask, y'all want a relationship like this? Like, it's fiery and it's passionate, but obviously it's toxic. But it's passionate. Passion. But it's toxic. Not good for you, but, you know. What y'all think? What y'all think?
We're here for our convertible.
How about an SUV?
Ares slept with Eos, the goddess of dawn, so Aphrodite cursed Eos with a seriously unquenchable thirst for young men, aka she turned her into a hopeless case. Yeah, good save. Didn't really make much of a difference though, because in total Ares had 20 baby mamas. Yeah, that boy belonged to the streets. Aphrodite.
I ain't gonna lie though, for Greek days, like 20 baby mamas, that's light work. Nick Cannon got what, like 11? He's not a god. That's light work. Zeus was floating down to earth doing whatever he wanted to do 24/7. That man might have 150, 200. Might need to pump his numbers up.
Meanwhile cheated on Ares with Dionysus and Hermes and Poseidon and Adonis and Anchises and Butes and Phaeton. Yeah,
and the whole neighborhood.
She's busy, and all that.
Anybody naming there?
10 children. Streets. Both of you, streets. And if the name Adonis made you go, wait a minute, I heard that before. Isn't there more to that? There's more to that. Remember the woman Aphrodite cursed to fall in love with her father? Her name was Myra, and Myra was so beautiful that her mother boasted about her beauty. You know, just a proud mom repping her beautiful daughter, claiming she is more beautiful than Aphrodite. I love my girl. So Aphrodite was like...
It became personal with me.
Aphrodite cursed Myra to fall in love with her own father.
This trend is starting to get old. Is this all these Greek gods got? Like they really be pulling out the most diabolical things they can out of their playbook. This shouldn't even be fair. Who gonna stop the gods when they acting out? They need some leadership. Oh wait. They got some leadership. It's called Zeus, but he's the worst one. You know, the crazy thing is after Aphrodite, I'm watching Dionysus or whatever, which was basically the god of party. So we gonna see. Might even get worse. It might even get nastier. But hey, I'm all here for it. We here to learn today. We relaxing. We got little Miss Cuteness with us. You know what I'm saying? We got Drea in the chat. We got John in the chat. We living good. We living good. We living good. Hey John, if there's if there's a god that you want to learn a little bit about, let me know. He probably got it in the list. Right back.
Forced by the curse, Myra seduced her father in complete darkness, and he did not know it was his daughter, and for 9 nights they laid together in the dark until she was pregnant. And when he found out, he was so angry and so heartbroken, he tried to kill his daughter and then killed himself. Myra survived this attempt and begged the gods to turn her into something other than human to escape her fate. So the gods turned her into the myrrh tree, and after 9 months, Adonis emerged from that tree, the most beautiful boy ever, and it was Aphrodite who found him. Aphrodite knew the boy would grow up to be stunning, so ever the groomer, she didn't want the other goddesses to pursue him and gave him to Persephone, who lived in the underworld, to raise him away from everybody. And Adonis did grow up to be stunning. He became the most beautiful man to ever walk the planet, and when adult Adonis got back to the surface world, Aphrodite was all over him all the time. Things got X-rated real fast. Like, they had the love nest and everything was nasty, man. So that's where Ares enters this story.
This is Jess. She needs her money to work as hard as she does. That's why she uses U.S. Bank Smartly Checking and Savings, helping her track her spending and grow her money.
He was used to cheating and used to being cheated on, but this was different. Aphrodite loved Adonis and spent all her time with him. So eventually...
That's crazy. You can be a Greek god, still got to worry about getting. Literally, no one is safe out here.
Ares got mad jealous and decided it was time for Adonis to die. Ares knew Adonis loved hunting, so the god of war transformed into a boar and killed Adonis on his next hunt. Easy money. Lucky for Adonis, he had another woman who loved him in the underworld, but when adult Adonis returned, Persephone's motherly love turned into desire. The beautiful Adonis was simply irresistible, and the usually loyal wife of Hades started an affair with the man she once raised. Yeah, if that shocks you, that's just classic Greek mythology. Then one day, Aphrodite came storming into the underworld to claim her lover back. She couldn't live without him. She asked Hades if she could please have Adonis back in the world of the living, and Hades was like, have him back? Girl, can an elephant walk backwards? And Aphrodite was like, I don't know, maybe they slowly, and Hades was like, damn,
Wait. I'm sure an elephant can't walk backwards, right? They don't look like they should be able to do that.
I actually don't. Hey, Persephone, can an elephant walk? Doesn't matter, you can't have them back. I don't give people back to the world of the living. Get out of here. And by now, you know Aphrodite's temper. She was pissed, and she promised to starve the world of love and turn it into a place filled with hatred only. And she left the underworld and made good on her threat. In a way, this negative of starving the world of love also proves one of Aphrodite's few positives. She does bring love and lust and thus life into this world. No matter how many times she abuses that ability, without her, love and lust and thus we wouldn't exist, you know what I mean? So back to her abusing that ability though. Aphrodite turned off the love tap and all love faded, which even reached Zeus and Hera, whose already terrible marriage turned into an absolute nightmare. So at that point,
welcome.
Zeus was like, I gotta get involved.
Appreciate the likes I see coming in and stuff.
Adonis had to spend a third of the year with Aphrodite, so the world gets love back, and a third of the year in the underworld, and the third, wherever he chooses. And Adonis chose to spend most of his time with Aphrodite, but he still made people fall in love with him left and right wherever he went, and not just women. Heracles, aka Hercules, also fell in love with Adonis and seduced the man for some sweet, sweet guy love.
Hercules was... I didn't know Hercules got down that way. Hey, do what you want to do. Fine. I just didn't know. I didn't know this part of the story. Did y'all know this? I didn't know Hercules moved like that. When I saw the movie when I was a kid, he had that little thing. What was that? Oh, I got y'all. Yeah, he had this. Yeah, y'all remember her? Y'all remember her? What happened to her? I'm saying, y'all, that's why you got to learn that real history. You never know.
And it is, to me, the most hilarious thing that after everything Heracles did, after all the adventures, after all the dangers, this is what eventually ended up getting him killed. Because you do not cross Queen Petty. Boy, Aphrodite was furious that Heracles took Adonis from her. So she devised a plan to kill him. She made the centaur Nessos lust after Heracles' wife. Yeah, Heracles was married too. Everybody here is just cheating on everybody. They're all married and just getting it on. Greek mythology. Mad with lust, Nessos kidnapped Heracles' wife. But we're talking about Heracles here. So Heracles caught the guy and killed him. You know, that's what Heracles does. Specifically, right. Heracles killed Nessos with a poisoned arrow. And that's what Aphrodite was waiting for. She then quickly told the dying centaur to soak a robe in his poisoned blood and tell Heracles' wife that, should she ever fear that her husband might be unfaithful, she should make him wear this robe as a love charm. Somehow that made sense to Heracles' wife. So the next time he cheated, his wife casually was like, hey, you're really killing that whole lion fur look.
Took that man out.
I told you, but it takes a real man to pull off that fur and that heat. I don't know how you do it, honestly. It's incredible. But I was thinking, you want to try a robe? Look how nice and red. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm an AI, but I'm here to talk apps. Real apps you can build in minutes with Base 44. This financial...
So she put the robe on him, and Heracles was immediately poisoned. So poisoned that the pain was so agonizing, Heracles decided to burn himself to escape it. The point is, Aphrodite's wrath, Aphrodite's pettiness, knew no limits and even killed Greek mythology's greatest hero. But the crown jewel of disasters caused by Aphrodite's insecurities would come later. Due to pure vanity, Aphrodite would set a chain of events into motion that causes a great war. A war we all know as the Trojan War. But that's a video for another day. Time for the extra notes.
For another day. We're not going to do the extra notes. I'm trying to see what's good with Dionysus. I know he's the god of, you know what I'm saying, wine and fertility or something like that.
Son of Zeus.
Something like that. So, you know, he was getting his party on. He was an official, he was a frat bro before the frat bros were a thing. The original frat bro. The original Diddy. Or can you even say that? Can you even say Diddy on YouTube now? Like, do I say Diddler? So it'd be like a code name lotion bottles, or what is it? What is it? They found him with a bunch of oil or some baby oil. Code Mr. Baby Oil. Is that what we refer to him on YouTube now? This is the original Mr. Baby Oil.
Zeus.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party. I'm sorry. All right.
Successor of Zeus.
That's literally what they be saying.
Lightning bolt. But born after Zeus.
No, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy because I remember the 2010s, the 2000s. Everybody and their mama was running around talking about ain't no party like a Diddy party. I hope y'all track down all of those people.
Own daughter and then killed by Zeus's wife Hera when he was a baby, killed by her, having him torn apart and eaten.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but there's more. Dion,
Lil Did. That's a good one, bro. Lil Did.
God of wine, who when he was angry once punished a man by driving.
Lil did he do it? Yes, he did.
Him mad and making him think he's chopping vines when in reality the man was chopping up his wife and kids. Also, Dionysus was born out of Zagreus' heart, the only part that survived Zagreus' dismemberment. What a fun video this is going to be.
Yeah, let's get it.
Let's do this.
We're ready. Welcome whoever popped in. Then make yourself comfortable.
Let's start the story with Zagreus, the one meant to inherit his father Zeus's throne. You already know that Zeus had Zagreus after having sex with his daughter. That daughter was Persephone. But don't worry, that's okay, because he originally had Persephone by sticking his thunderbolt into his sister Demeter, which is not that tragic when you consider that Zeus's wife Hera is also his sister. So there Zagreus was, born into a completely normal family, and after Zagreus' sister gave birth to him, Zeus decided that this pinnacle of inbreeding would be his successor, and to show how serious he was about that, he immediately armed baby boy Zagreus with his infamous lightning bolts. Not sure if giving a toddler lightning bolts is good parenting, but hey, we're talking about a father who slept with his daughter. The bar is low. Unsurprisingly, Zeus's actual wife Hera was furious about this. Another illegitimate child, this time with his own daughter, and he makes him his heir over the legitimate male son Ares he had with Hera. Yeah, she was pissed. And the only way Zeus could have made this any worse is if he had named this illegitimate son after Hera, like, I don't know, call him Heracles or something. But he wouldn't do that. Not Zeus. So Hera is fuming right now. And when Hera is mad, babies usually die or at least get crippled, thrown off cliffs, or something. In the case of Zagreus, murder was the case. And Hera did that by taking away his lightning bolts, replacing them with toys. And then while baby Zagreus was playing with these new toys, Hera ordered a group of titans to tear him into pieces and eat the baby boy.
Obviously all of these are myths and everything like that, but this does make me think about, man, the world was a much different place. Like a lot of times we like to take a lot of things for granted. We like to act like the world is not such a dangerous place. But I'm telling y'all, back in the day, it was real out here. Like, if you defied a king, off with your head. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could be a peasant working 25 years. Hey, ain't no union. Ain't no union. Work harder. Oh, you're not working hard enough? I feel like stabbing you today. You're gone. Bye. No one cares. Like, it was brutal out there. Medieval times. Like, you stomp your toe, it get infected. You're done. You're done. You're cooked. Like that's all I'm saying. That's why, especially in Europe, that's why most of them is Christian. You already know you better be praying. You better be praying because you about to be gone in 2.5 seconds. You're going to get taken out by a tiny cut. You know, those little things like where you accidentally like cut your finger a little bit, or like you have a little piece of skin that gets pulled back on your fingernail and you're done. You're dead. DCs.
What?
Zagreus
like that.
was dead, and the one to discover the crime scene was Athena, who immediately brought the only remaining part of her dead baby brother to her father, Zagreus's heart. To say Zeus was mad would be an understatement. In fact, once he heard that the Titans were responsible for this, Zeus famously said,
I have a very particular set of skills.
Oh, he was ready.
Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Zeus blasted the Titans to ashes with his lightning. Not figuratively, literally, he burned the Titans into a crisp down to ashes. And then he had a special punishment for Hera, who obviously thought she had taken care of this illegitimate heir of his. Zeus took Zagreus' heart, turned it into a potion, and gave that potion to another one of his mistresses, who drank it, became pregnant, and so ensured that Zeus's beloved son would be reborn. And that's where Dionysus enters this story.
Okay, yeah, let's get it.
To properly introduce Dionysus into the story, let me rewind the clock a little bit to when Zagreus is still alive and Zeus is enjoying another affair, this one with the beautiful mortal Semele. But this affair with Semele stood out because it was actually consensual, unexpected, like, well done, King Sparkles. Consensual, for once. In fact, it wasn't just consensual. Semele actually loved Zeus, and King Sparkles loved her back. So they met, often, intimately. And eventually, Semele was ready to receive. So Zeus asked her to drink a potion that is very dear to him, a potion that would make her pregnant and cement their love. In a different context, that sounds like him tricking her into getting sloppy with his thunderbolt. But Semele drank the actual potion that was once Zagreus' heart, remember? And now she was pregnant. With that in mind, understand this. The gods see everything, right? All of us down here, that's a peep show for them. A just chatting section live stream, you get me. Your secret self-pleasure habits are the gods' bad time stories. So of course, Hera saw what was going on between Semele and Zeus. And usually, Hera only snaps once one of Zeus's mistresses becomes pregnant. And especially so if Zeus cares about that pregnant mistress. So Semele ticked all the boxes, and it was time for Hera to pay her a visit. As is the standard for godly visits on Earth, Hera did that in disguise. The gods and goddesses could never appear in their godly form because their divine presence would be so overwhelming it would literally kill people. So Hera chose her favorite disguise, that of an old lady. An old lady that is itching for some scratching. A bone without a dog, a turkey without the stuffing. You catch my drift? She wanted sex, all right? She wanted sex. She played the role of a thirsty old lady that's all up in everybody's business, and she went up to Semele like, hey, how you doing? Good to meet you. You look like you just had sex. Literally our first conversation ever, but okay, let's talk about Yeah, I did have sex. Was it good? I bet it wasn't good. Back in my day, I was the best lay. Hey, I bet you suck though. I bet he's like, Tiny, I feel sorry for you. Bye. Okay, what's happening here? You know what? It was actually amazing. He's actually Zeus, like the god. So, suck it. Sounds like that's what you did. A lady doesn't suck and tell. So, God, huh? Are you sure? Can you even prove it? I bet you can't prove it. But he's like, only saying that, but he's like, not even a God. You get the drift. Basically, it went on like this for a while until Semele was so annoyed that she agreed to prove the existence of her godly lover to this horny old lady by asking Zeus to reveal himself in his true form the next time they have sex. With the old lady presumably hiding behind a tree or something, just watching. I don't know how they provided evidence before smartphones. So the next time King Sparkles paid Semele a visit to stick his spark plug into her outlet, she asked him to make her a promise to promise or something. Always a setup, by the way. Never promise to promise something. But Zeus agreed, and Semele asked to see his true form. So now Zeus had made the mistake of promising a promise. He could not go back on his word because while the gods commit every sin known to the imagination, breaking promises is something they really avoid doing. Zeus begged her not to ask this of him anything but to show his true form, for she does not know the consequences. But the more he resisted, the more the doubt the old lady planted incepted Semele's mind, and the more she wanted proof that Zeus really is who he claims to be. So Zeus had no way out. Dropped the disguise, showed his divine self, and at the sight of his thunderbolts, plural, I'm not doing that thunderbolt D joke again, plural. At the sight of the thunderbolts and lightning bolts surrounding his divine presence, she melted away in their heat. Not figuratively, literally melted away. Flesh, bone, girl was dead. Luckily, the speedster god Hermes was also watching the show for some random reason, and he zipped up just in time to zip over there with his speed and rescue the baby from her melting belly. Then, to make all of this even more messed up, Zeus implanted the baby in his thigh to carry it to term. So the reincarnation of Zagreus was now safe in Zeus's thigh, but he knew the boy would never really be safe from Hera and her baby-killing fetish, so Zeus gave birth to reborn Zagreus in secret and then used Hermes' speed once again to secretly deliver the baby to a family far away from Mount Olympus to raise the boy under a different name, Dionysus.
Great ideas can come from anywhere. With Wix,
All right, I'm trying to lock into the story, so back. Quick break. Quick two. Here. Oh. Oh, she was kidding. She told me the dog took a pee. I thought the dog took a pee. Are you kidding? Now I'm paranoid. Like,
Zagreus was reborn, and now under the name of Dionysus, he was raised outside of Hera's grasp, raised by Semele's sister Ino and her husband Athamas, raised as a girl even, to further fool Hera. Now, here's me thinking though, if you're gonna try to fool her, don't give him to the sister of the woman who gave birth to him. I mean, hey, what do I know? All I'm saying is, it didn't take long for Hera to find out about Dionysus being Zagreus reborn, and it didn't take long to find out where he's hiding. She found the aunt, she found the uncle, she found the family, so Dionysus and his new family were only able to enjoy a couple of years of happy home before Hera arrived, cast a spell of madness on Ino and her husband Athamas, and turned the happy home into a home where parents kill their children and then kill each other. Classic Hera. When in doubt, just drive people mad and have them kill each other or something. The young Dionysus was able to narrowly escape the bloodbath and hid away in the mountains, where he found shelter with mountain nymphs and the satyros. And if you don't know anything about the satyros, just know that they are half goats and all they do is get drunk, play music, and have sex. They're always naked, they have a constant boner, and are constantly making use of that boner with their own hand, or willing or unwilling participants. And now you actually know everything there is to know about the satyros. One satyros in particular took on the responsibility to raise Dionysus. Selenos was his name. But still, you know, even though Selenos is being responsible, I think at this point the damage was done. First, the baby boy is torn apart and eaten. Then he's put into a new mom, but she melts to death. So he is reborn out of his dad's thigh, but hidden away because a stepmom is trying to kill him. So he's raised as a girl until his stepmom finds out about him and drives his new parents mad. So then the boy watches them kill each other. And then he is raised by a bunch of drunk, horny goats in the mountains. It explains why Dionysus took to a life of alcohol faster than Demi Lovato and Charlie Sheen combined. But still, Dionysus made it to adulthood, became a beautiful man, and was now powerful enough to be safe from Hera. And he was completely normal and totally stable. Lycurgus was a king that once killed one of the nymphs that cared for young Dionysus in their mountain home, and Dionysus held a forever grudge against Lycurgus. So when he grew into his powers, he took a page out of Hera's book and drove the king mad, so that Lycurgus hacked apart his own wife and child with an axe, thinking he is cutting vines. And then Dionysus had the king devoured by panthers. Pentheus was another king that offended Dionysus, this one by rejecting Dionysus' divinity and forbidding his subject from worshipping Dionysus. So the god drove the king's mother and aunt mad, so mad that the two women tore him apart limb from limb. Yeah, I think the family dynamics, the madness that Hera cast, and being torn apart as a baby thing, all that kind of left an impression on Dionysus, a fetish, if you will. There's more stories like this, but they all play out the same way. Anyone who opposed Dionysus was punished by having to face the same hardships Dionysus once faced: madness or being torn apart, or both. So that's Dionysus' dark side. Keep all that in mind because we're going to come back to it later. But Dionysus also famously had a bright, irresponsible, chaotic party side. He was the god of wine after all. Drinking was half his life. And most of those drinking stories involve a lot of sex. And I'm not trying to have this video demonetized, so lots of wine, a beautiful god, lots of women, men, everybody's drunk. I'll let you fill in the blanks. Just like Dionysus filled in a lot of blanks. Both genders, by the way. He didn't discriminate in which blanks he filled. You get me? But there's one Dionysus story that originates out of drunken stupor and kind of works as a symbolic story for the chaotic and carefree side of Dionysus and his decision making. The story of King Midas. It starts with Dionysus and his...
I always love when a lot of these myths and stuff kind of connect to, you know, stories from the Bible, people that we knew existed in history, so you can kind of have that excuse me, that realistic feel. Like, for instance, we know the Trojan War happened. Obviously, we don't know if Poseidon and Aphrodite were really ringleaders running this war, but it's just nice making those connections between like true history and like the stories people tell. And you know, all of that connection to me is always like one of the main reasons I love, like, you know, understanding both real history, but also things like, you know, religion and storytelling and mythology, things like that.
Mentor and friend Silenos getting absolutely wasted in the forest. They got so drunk that they then got separated and the drunk goat man Silenos got lost. Dionysus went looking for his friend everywhere but could not find him. Was in a panic, and luckily then found some soldiers who were like, hey, looking for a goat, like massive boner, constantly touching himself? Yeah, that's my friend. You see him? Yeah, come with us. That joke was not even in the script. I'm gonna leave it. I like it. Right? I don't know what's wrong with me.
Hi, I'm JT and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you what it does. First of all, big tech right now is...
So they specific search engine.
Took him to the palace of King Midas, who had not only found Silenos, but also had taken great care of him. And you know, when you're hungover and you're still kind of emotional and very quick to love everybody and all that, that was Dionysus right now. He was just like, oh, thank you so much. Like, you're just kind, you're so kind. I'll do anything you want. Like, if you have a wish, just ask. I'll make any wish come. Can I throw up over there? He was willing to grant King Midas any wish. And King Midas' wish was simple: to have anything he touches turn into gold. Dionysus was too busy throwing up to really give it much thought, and he was just like, yeah, anything he touches is gold. I enjoy. Immediately, Midas picked up a rock, and it turned into gold. The king was happy. Spent all day turning everything he could find into gold until he got tired and sat down to eat. But when the food touched his teeth, it turned into gold. Midas figured he would probably find a solution for this later and retired to his chambers to have some quality one-on-one time, you know, play with himself a little bit. But when he touched it, it turned into the first golden dildo. That's not true. Power didn't work on himself, but it did work on other people. So after days of starving, Midas' daughter found her father all sad, looking horrible, so she went up to console and hug him, and before Midas could warn her, she turned into gold. Midas was heartbroken, took his golden statue daughter with him, and went to find Dionysus to beg him to release the curse. And since Dionysus never meant to curse Midas, he helped him find the river that when bathed in would undo the golden curse and everything it affected. So Midas bathed in the river, and when he emerged from it, his daughter was brought back to life, and her and Midas left behind the kingdom, all the riches, and lived a simple life in the forest. So that's the other side of Dionysus. Not dark, not cold-hearted, not scary, just a chaotic drunk that makes mistakes but has a kind heart. And this is crucial to Dionysus, who more than any other god represents duality. On the one hand, there was absolute cold wrath, darkness, or to put it simply, there was death. And on the other hand, he was this carefree drunk, enjoying the moment and not worrying about anything else. On the other hand, he represented life. The answer to this duality of Dionysus, to him representing life and death, is on the surface level as obvious as it seems. He is two people, literally. He is Zagreus and Dionysus. He is the boy who died and the boy who was born twice. But as simple as it is on a surface level, it's much more complex than that. So complex that it inspired an entire ancient Greek religion, Orphism. And that all starts with when...
Y'all ever heard of Orphism? I've never heard of that before. Never heard of Orphism. I would normally...
And baby Zagreus was eaten by the Titans,
is.
and Zeus turned his killers into ash. Within Orphism, it is believed that those ashes are what humanity was then born out of, which is why humanity is partly divine, since the Titans ate the divine child Zagreus, but also partly wicked, since the Titans ate the divine child Zagreus. And if you take that further and give it a bit of a spin, like religions tend to do, you arrive at a belief system that claims that our physical body is inherited from the Titan remains in the ashes, and our soul is the divine spark of Zagreus, and it is only when we receive his divine blessing that we get to rest in the blissful afterlife. Until then, our wicked physical Titan body will forever be trapped in a cycle of rebirth within the physical realm. I am severely oversimplifying because Orphism is very complex and it originates out of an earlier cult of Dionysus that predates the Greek pantheon, but that is roughly the gist of it. You get me? Yeah?
Before the Greek pantheon was built, gosh, that's a minute. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Wow, I wonder if there's people practicing this today. I mean, I'm sure there are, but wonder how many. Can't be many,
Because this is not getting any less complex from here on out. That's why I got all the childish jokes out the way early, because school's in session now, y'all. Sit down, take notes. And to make all of this easier, from here on out, internalize that Zagreus is basically just an alternate name for Dionysus and vice versa. But I'm gonna go with Dionysus from now on, since that is the more popular name. So, as a deity that was central to a religion that is older than the Greek pantheon we all know, Dionysus is seriously ancient and powerful, which is why he has insane feats within Greek mythology, feats that were simply carried over and integrated into Greek mythology from his older worship. Feats like being reborn, and in one of his tales, Dionysus even travels to the underworld to bring his dead mother Semele back and make her immortal, which is crazy enough, but made even crazier that later he does the same thing to bring back his dead wife too. The details of these stories will blow the scope of this video, but the point is Dionysus brings two people back from the underworld, back to life, to immortality. That should not be possible. The dead are the realm of Hades and Persephone. No one else has any business taking souls from them. But this is where this gets very interesting. Remember how Dionysus was originally born to Zeus and his daughter Persephone? Of course you do. That's still living in your head rent-free for life. Well, there are ancient versions of this story where the Zeus impregnating Persephone is called Zeus Chthonios, which translates to Zeus of the underworld, and that would make him Hades. So with this interpretation, King Sparkle's Zeus didn't actually have sex with his daughter. Yay. If you ever played the game Hades, all of this should be absolutely blowing your mind right now. And if you haven't played that game, it's a game called Hades, and you play a guy named Zagreus trying to escape the underworld, but the gameplay loop is set up so that you constantly die and start the game from the beginning. You're constantly reborn. And that's essentially Dionysus, remember, aka Zagreus' entire existence. Even the wine Dionysus famously represents is a symbol for that. Wine is made of crushed grapes, reborn into the drink humanity can't get enough of. Crushed grapes, dismembered boy, reborn, you get it, you see it, yeah? Dionysus didn't just represent wine, he kind of was wine. And that further connects him to the underworld. And I swear I'm trying to explain this as simplified as possible. Stay with me. Wine is stored in the underground, aka in the underworld, before it is consumed on the surface world, bringing ecstasy and frenzy to the people. Crushed, dismembered, reborn, underworld, surface world, from darkness to the surface world, chaos, dark, drunken, frenzy. You know, you see it. You with me? You get me?
I might need a second to get that
because
down.
There's another reason why wine was so central to Dionysus' ancient
Wait, let's
world.
see. Can we actually break this down?
Surface world, from darkness to the surface world, chaos, dark, drunken, frenzy. You know, you see it. You with
Got it.
Surface world, from darkness to the surface world, chaos, dark, drunken, frenzy.
So Zagreus, we already know him and Dionysus are the same people. Dionysus equals wine. Okay, so wine is in the underworld. Wine is crushed, which is the same as being dismembered. Reborn? Okay, so when you're reborn, you go to the... Okay, so you get crushed, you get dismembered, then you get reborn, which is while you're in the underworld. Bring you back to the surface world. From the darkness to the surface world.
From darkness to the surface
I'm
world.
confused. I can't even.
Chaos, dark, drunken, frenzy.
Chaos. Okay, so then you bring that. So then you bring those grapes to the surface world, which brings chaos because you drunk and you in a frenzy.
See, you know, you see it. You with me? You get me?
I kind of see the
Good.
play.
Because there's another reason why wine
You all
is
see
so
the play?
central to Dionysus' ancient cult, and later important to Orphism. Orphism centers around Dionysus returning from the dead, and it was believed that getting drunk on his wine would bring you closer to your pure divine soul being and detaches you from your sinful, titan-infested physical body, because it was believed that when you're absolutely drunk, you are now possessed by Dionysus, and that's kind of goals if you believe in Orphism. In its heyday, that whole belief system was entirely hippie and anti-establishment and a secret underground cult. But over time, the rich and powerful adopted it, really digging the whole, I'm getting drunk, but I'm possessed by Dionysus, I have that as an excuse. That was just a way for them to constantly be wasted. So over time, that's how Dionysus became really popular in ancient Greece and found his way to become worshipped as an Olympian, become part of the pantheon, and the cult of Dionysus became less and less associated with gloomy death, rebirth, and less of an underground thing, and just became more about drinking. AKA, they kind of made Dionysus mainstream. Damn, that was complex. I hope you got it. Also, not enough jokes for my liking there in the end, but
Absolutely, absolutely. I hope everybody who's checking in right now, I hope you guys are all having an amazing day. Absolutely. I'm about to definitely go live later today. I don't know what it will be. It could be science videos. We could be doing karaoke. It could be more Greek mythology, or even I really like Norse mythology too as well. So we're definitely going to be taking a look at that. But I appreciate everybody who popped in and everything like that. Up. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a great day, and yeah, shoot, I might be back on here in even an hour. Who knows?